Was this audition process like, and did you feel the weight of the role when you got the job?
I'm actually so glad I get to talk about this because I haven't been able to say how much of a luxury it is and how grateful I am that, you know, for actors, most of our careers are auditioning, and I still audition. I am always auditioning. But, you know, what is beautiful about this moment was that I didn't. I was also so scary about it. They came to me and they offered it to me, and I was like, well, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to earn this moment? To be able to portray a man that I've always looked up to, you know, the man that's done so much greatness, the man that gives me a reason to act today. And so I was overwhelmed, but I had a conversation with the producers and the executive producers and the showrunners, and I expressed these concerns, and they said, lean into it. That's what's going to drive you through the story. Dr. King was only 26 when he led the Montgomery bus boycott, and here you are at 28, and you're about to portray him.
When I first went through this process, there's always going to be that initial, like, you know, drop of your gut, like the butterflies. But once you get past that and you really learn like what you're doing, not only for yourself in your career, but that is like what you're doing for the world of generally, it gives you that sort of confidence. And I went into this process, I had that kind of hope, and you're supposed to that transition into doing, you know, portraying the character. And it's all the way through, I felt such passion.
Well, it was shock, excitement, fear, everything you think bubbling all at once. But the opportunity to be involved in telling the story of the women who have a lot of the time been sidelined and not delved into was an honor and privilege and something I had to be a part of. I discovered on getting the role or even the audition, I had to then go and do some research, and I was like, oh my God, I actually don't know much about Coretta Scott King, and that made me very embarrassed and upset. And so when I did get the job, it was kind of like, okay, fantastic, now this is my chance to contribute to the telling of the stories of these incredible women. And I think that's the biggest treat for me, yeah.
Is there anything you really learned through this role?
So when I was doing research, you know, when I got the role and I was trying to dive deep into it, I actually read the blog written by Alan Saley. And a lot of his teenage years I didn't know about, nor about his childhood. So basically everything in his childhood teenage years I kind of learned brand new from reading the book. And it was very fascinating to see, you know, how he had a whole life from 60 once he got in prison.
You know, I wasn't familiar with Juanita, but I had spent a lot of time in Atlanta, and I was actually living on Ralph David Abernathy Drive, and I learned so much about her and her history and how passionate she was and how educated she was just throughout researching her and doing the role.
You know, with Reginald, I think that I was more introduced to nation of and his relationship with him. It was very, very wonderful to see when Malcom was at a point, his ultimate darkness, Reginald was there and be and I think that was huge. You know, hold on to my heart and divide for the whole show.
And I was reading the script and thinking, wow, this is somebody I really get because she's kind of smart and ignored woman. Unfortunately. And I just really love the dialogue. I identified with immediately, and it's a great thing. And it was very fast.
These men wouldn't have been accomplished what they did without women alive that loved them, that supported them, embraced them, and part this way. Coretta, for example, was much more involved in Vietnam War than Martin was until 1967, 1968. But Reggie Shabazz has just been an extraordinary guy. I had the privilege of meeting her years ago. We both contended to play. And we spent a lot of time together. And what an extraordinary leader, someone who raised essentially 6 children pretty much on their own. And I don't see another one like that.
I mean, we have great respect for these projects that have come before us. What we were excited about is that this is limited series. We have 8 hours, so we thought of it as an 8-hour film, which gave us a chance to really broaden the story and dig deep. And we just went a deep dive into the research and put together a think tank which had incredible scholars and religious leaders and activists to just teach us, talk to us, debate, so that we could get those stories that people don't know about and really dig deep and show another narrative that people haven't seen.
And clearly we weren't interested in the Wikipedia version of this. It was really to just uncover the humanity of them. You know, just with all the challenges, with sort of having to overcome loss and the mental health aspect and the pressure they felt and the joy they had. You know, so just really making them full human beings is what we were trying to do.
I thought that I knew everything about Holmes. I was wrong, because one of the biggest things that I took away was how much one could exist without the other. Because, like, everybody, if you just had MLK piece, you did have Malcom on the other side, there wouldn't have been pressure from the president to make this happen. So a lot of things happen because there was such push and pull. And I don't think I was aware of how much they were aware of each other, because they were trying to communicate. They were sending messages to each other. Some people were ignoring. Like, there's communication happening, but they don't really meet in person until the very end or the beginning of the class.
I mean, there's no way you could do a period piece without going to do your research, you know, and the styles were so different back then. The people moved completely different back then. So I had to make sure I go back and do my research to stay true to the period and the time, and make sure I get them a little jazz, a little juice to it, a little vibe, you know?
So this one wanted to make sure that all of the sounds authentic of the period. But look at hey, you're gonna be like that the water. Well, that's nice. See that? And I'm excited as it well.
Is there anything that you took away from playing him that you didn't already have? Like, is there a piece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that, like, you carry with you going forward?
His grace. Dr. King showed so much grace to those that didn't give it back to him, and he showed so much grace for himself. And I think that's something we really undervalue, is that we forget that we're so complicated as human beings, and there's so much coming our way, and it's so overwhelming to sit there and figure out, we're all thinking, how do I do it right? How do I do life right? And Dr. King really empathized with that and just show people grace despite, yeah.